And good afternoon, everyone, and welcome once again here to La Tertulia Equestrian. Once again, we're very happy and very proud to continue with this program. And I'm going to happy to introduce Leopoldo Palacios. Leopoldo, good to see you again. We have also Santiago Varela from Madrid, Spain. Hola, Santi. ¿Cómo estás? And Carolo López Quesada from Cabalarion.com. And thank you again, Carolo, for all your support. Same as Ecuestre Digital, Alejandro, and Cusi for all your support, and Mariela and Estefania for all the translation. And let me tell you one thing. We are very proud because this year we're rolling high. I mean, one guest after guest is just amazing, and we're very honored. And today we have an excellent honor that we're all very proud of, the Lampard Chef d'Equipe from Great Britain. Dee, how are you? Well, thank you for taking the time to be with us. And let me give a little bit of your summary to all our audience here. Dee has been the leading rider for almost a decade. She also competed in more than 50 Nations Cup, 2 World Championships, 2 European Championships, bronze medal as a team, and then very involved with the development of the sport, not only in Great Britain, but worldwide. She was responsible of qualifying the Great Britain team for Rio, and she actually got gold thanks to Nick Skelton in Rio, and now she also chef d'equipe and qualified the team for Tokyo. Dee, thank you very much. And one important thing before I give you, I forgot to mention one very important thing. Medal of the British Empire in 2017. Wow, Dee, thank you very much. Very proud to have you here.
Thank you very much for asking me to come on this. I feel honoured to be with my favourite people. Thank you.
Well, Dee, I must ask you this question. How emotional was the feeling when Nick Skelton and Big Star won that gold medal in Rio?
It was just unbelievable how the whole final day unveiled. It was amazing. Do you know, even when we walked the course in the morning, the whole experience was surreal, because as we walked the course, there was music playing that was saying Big Star in the background. And we just thought, oh, that's a little bit, eerie. And Nick, it was so fantastic to work with Nick. He was so focused for so many years prior to Tokyo. To Rio. And as it all unveiled and we were getting closer and closer and the clear rounds were coming in, and then the jump off. The jump off was very interesting because Nick being drawn first to go, and a lot of people would look at that as a disadvantage. And we were so pleased that he was going first, because he could only go out and he was going to do his best, and no other pressures of trying too hard were going to get to him. And when he completed his round, we thought that was a real marker to lay down. It was a cracking round, and obviously put the pressure on everybody else following. And going through my mind watching was, Nick had very little time in the ring with Big Star leading up to Rio, to the Olympic Games. The horse was brought back into work, and his competition plan was very, very light compared with the fabulous partnerships that were winning Grand Prix week in and week out, going against the clock. So as everybody jumped, and Nick was moving up into 4th place to 3rd place to silver medalist, and then bam, when he won the gold medal, it was an elation, but it was a relief. All the emotions were running. Nick was so driven and so positive that he was going to win that gold medal 12 months out. And he was so devoted to the cause. It was just amazing feelings. We were at the moment, it was just, I felt just silent by it because it had happened. It had come to fruition after 3 years. This plan had come to fruition. And being part of it, the latter 12 months, the highs and the lows of it and the emotions, it just completely stunned me. And then, then it was just jubilation everywhere. It was great to be with Beverly and Gary, the owners, the Widdowsons, to be with Mark, the groom, Nick, Laura, and the whole team, to be there around him. It was, it should be made a film. It was amazing. I feel very lucky to be part of that. The whole journey.
Exactly. You were part of history there, and a very emotional history. So, wow, what an amazing. I was there, and Santiago was there, Leopoldo was there, and I know I think we were all in tears. Enjoying the moment.
Yes.
It was simply amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was just unbelievable, and I think genuinely everybody could see the journey that Nick had come along with his own injuries and setbacks, and the same with Big Star. And to peak at that time, talk about delivering on a given day. This was to the T, wasn't it? It was amazing.
Totally agree with you.
Sport at its very best, whatever sport. When you get to that standard and you see that height is truly amazing. That's why we're all in the sport, to see those moments.
It is true. It is true. Well, Leopoldo, I know you're a very good friend of Dee, and I'm sure you have a lot of questions for her.
Dee, I know you for several years, and you was a fantastic rider, and you was one of my favorite customers for that time, but always was a competitor, and when you go into the ring, always you have a chance to win. I want to ask you a question. You have a very successful career as a rider. And I asking the same thing to Philippe Herdade last time. What is the difference to have the emotions as a chef d'équipe or as a rider? And how you feel it is more emotional when you are the chef d'équipe or when you was a rider. I think I have when I am a chef d'équipe, I am a chef d'équipe of Dominican Republic too, and I am very emotional too when they come into the ring. What are your emotions there?
Well, I think Leopoldo, as a rider, I think you're very much like a chef, in control of all your emotions and your feelings. But as a rider, I think you have the pressure upon yourself to deliver, and you can, if you don't quite succeed, you can analyze and adapt. But if you're successful, that is fantastic. And I never did get too nervous as a rider. A little bit, but never too nervous as a rider. But I must confess, as a chef, I do, because luckily in many ways, I get to ride 4 rounds in a Nations Cup with my team. So I feel really, really lucky that I can ride 4 rounds with them. But having ridden, I feel their emotions, and some of the riders are more sensitive than others, and a lot more. Some of the riders don't have the nerves, so it's working with and handling those different riders, which is really intriguing. But actually, when they go in the ring and they're out of your control, I think that's when we start to stand on one leg and we get a little bit tense. We start to grip the start list a little bit strong, and we're just jumping with them and willing them to ride. So and hoping everything goes well for them. You know, it's their time.
And another question with this, the work of the chef d'equipe, I feel is very interesting. But at the end, you have one of the faces of the chef d'equipe. You need to be a little bit a psychologist for the rider, to give it confidence, to give it to tell them what, not to tell them what to do, but you don't teach them to ride them, but supporting them and give it. How you feel about this, and how important is for you this psychological part in the relation between you and the riders?
I think it's very important. I look at my role that we try to make everything easy for the riders. At the horse shows, we try to make sure that everything is set up for them. They fully understand, even the new riders that come on the team, where absolutely everything is. And also their grooms and their owners. We try many times to take the weight of their owners away from them when they're competing as well. I'm very fortunate as a chef d'equipe to be part of, in England, in Britain, what we have is the world-class programme, which is supported by lottery funding and UK sport. So I have a team that I'm a part of that support riders that are coming out to represent Britain. And you'll very often see my very good friend Tina Goosen come along with me. And Tina is excellent at arranging and organising the owners from when they arrive at the airport, their shuttle service, getting them to the hotels and looking after them. So that takes a considerable amount of weight off me and off the riders. So my job is to then make sure everything's okay at the showground, the competitions, they understand the competitions, the declarations, go through them with the riders, the plans, what the horses are going to do at the show, refresh that because it's a plan we've usually made before we arrive at the show, and to hopefully make everything go smoothly. And, you know, even sort of collecting ring and working with them, working on the strengths and the weaknesses that we've learned in the past and worked on at home, bringing it forward. So we try and make it easy for the riders at the shows. That's my part.
Dee, can I jump in? I'm sorry to interrupt, Santiago. I know it's your turn to ask a question, but it sounds very interesting what you said about the funding from the lottery and UK sports. Can you go a little bit deeper on how that format works?
Well, we have funding that comes in from UK Sport and the National Lottery. The British public buy the tickets for sport funding, and that is divided between the 4 Olympic disciplines. And so a section will go to show jumping to help promote and support our riders with various support. It will be with veterinary support, equine physios, human physios, the doctor, absolutely everything along the lines of education for the riding, the coaching. And that's the way we have what we think the very best in Britain's support team to support the athletes on the programme.
So, but is that a program only made for the equestrian sports, or is for all the high-level sports, and a percentage of that funding goes to equestrian?
Quite right, César. A portion of that goes to equestrian, but it's across all sports in Britain.
Interesting. Argentina has a similar format, not with lottery, but they do it with a contribution from the mobile phones. So every call, like a percentage of that phone call of what the customers pay, go to this fund and then gets distributed on all the Olympic sports. So
yeah, it's interesting how the different nations, the different countries get their funding, or whether they're self-funding.
Well,
interesting.
In fact, this is the main issue that the sport world have. When you have a major sport like the football or like the basket or whatever that request all the sponsor in the world, it is much more difficult for the other sport, for the Olympic sport, to be funded. However, there are many ways to do, and in general, the sport world, and maximum after this crisis, because this pandemic situation will change a lot the financial world. We need to join and to match all the time how you match the financial world with the sport world, because if not, majority of the sport will take the risk to disappear, or let's say not disappear, but come back to the 80s. Which could be a disaster, no? And the West world in general, the world need to find other ways to finance the sport, because without the sport we will not survive in the world. This is my personal view, and I don't know if it's through the taxes. I don't know if it is through other instrument, funds, whatever. But obviously the state need to be, and the governors need to pay attention on this regard, because without that, the sport will not survive.
Absolutely not. And it's also, sport needs it. It brings the youth together as well, and gives the youth goals. As young people, we all had idols in different sports, whether it be tennis or whether it be show jumping or the footballers. Everybody looks up to their idols in their sport, and that's their ambition to be. So they go out and they play it, just whether it be at school level or national level. But it's healthy. It's healthy for the country, isn't it, that we have the sport to carry on. So, we look at it that our riders are ambassadors for the sport, and which all top sportsmen and women should be.
There is a concept. There is a concept. The sustainability is not only for the renewables energy and other things. It needs to be for the health of the people, and the health of the people depends so much if they are moving on through the sport from the start of their life or not. And if we would like to have a sustainable world, we need to make policy, the sustainability policy for the people, and this includes the sport. This is absolutely clear in my view.
Yes. Yeah.
Carolo, your time.
What has been your personal life, and how many nations did he compete with you?
No. Carolo, can you repeat the question? You were breaking up a little. Carolo, do you hear me? Hello, Carolo. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead while Carolo fixes his microphone.
Okay.
Let's go a little bit about... Excuse me, Santiago?
I have one question.
Okay, go ahead.
And taking into account that your comment before with Leopoldo, and I believe that all of us, we think that the teams are special for everybody, no? Teams, when the team competition arrives in our sport, is totally different, because the nerves, the stress, everything is different. It's not only your performance in the arena. You need to add the performance to everyone, and that changed everything. No, it is true that there are teams totally different in this regard, which are, for example, Great Britain, no, that apparently transformed themselves the day of the Nation Cup, which is very nice to see. This feeling, but the reality is today we have an issue with the team competition. No, many people say that it's not interesting anymore, and I believe that it is totally wrong. But in your opinion, how the team competition need to go forward, need to be in the future? No, how we can resolve these issues that we have today? Because this is not only a money problem, no?
No, it's a shame actually, because the format is very interesting, as it is for me. But I get it that people, when they come and they watch a Nations Cup, it takes a long time. Or if you're watching it on the TV, it's very difficult to pick up immediately when you switch the TV on. However, it's lying in the results purely because you have discard scores. Now, it's worked for so many years and nobody likes change, but I believe no discard score is a way forward. I really do. Because it's the same for everybody. It's the same for every team. And yes, cutting down to 3, we will see in Tokyo. But we've had trials of this, like in the GCT, when we've seen teams of 3. And potentially with 3, it could be disastrous, but it can also be the other way. It can be really good fun too. I think if we have a safeguard with substitutes, and we can substitute at the right time, the team of 3 would work. And even with the Nations Cup, I think if you went to a team of 3 and had a substitute, but if my horse went lame in the collecting ring, and it was quite obvious, the stewards were there watching, they did their job, the horse is lame, the veterinary comes, they see the horse is lame, you can substitute the 4th rider. And I think we just have to get better at this. We have to be really slick at this and move on and be quicker. And I think if we have 3 riders, if we stick to what we've got, whether it be 10 teams or if we go back to 8 teams, we have to make decisions and stick to them. And the second round, let everybody do a jump-off course. Very different. It's very different. But it's the same for everybody. If you want change, then I think you have to go in and say, right, we're going to change it. We're not going to dabble a little bit. I think we have to go in and make a big change. See if it works. But give it 2 years to see if it works. It won't be liked. But people have talked about change for so long.
But something needs to happen, in my opinion.
Something needs to happen because it can't be just an excuse to say that television are complaining and people are complaining. You know, if it is a problem, then change it.
Yeah.
If it isn't broken, don't change it. I love it as it is, but I can see that we do need to change and go forward. For me, it's a wonderful competition.
Personally, I love as it is today, but the reality is the reality, and means that something needs to happen. There are other formulas that works in the past, like the Nation Cup final, no? For example, no? That was first day when we arrived there. None of us we knew what will gonna happen, and finally it was successful. Now nobody discussed that everybody liked to be there in October, no? And it was a new formula. And if you remember, the 6 months before was a crisis, totally crisis, because nobody knows.
Absolutely.
We see thousands calls every day asking me what will gonna happen there. I say I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. No, but wait until it happens, and after we take decision. No, but if everybody close and doesn't like to find formulas, this is the worst scenario. The better scenario try to make the sport better, no, for the actual situation, no, for the real situation that we have.
Yeah. And
César.
Barcelona is fantastic. Barcelona is fantastically exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, first time in the ring, you go into full height, and you cannot make mistakes. If you want to make that top cut, the riders go in there, and literally their first round is up there, and it's the best partnerships. It's a great competition.
But this is the question. We need to find different solutions to adapt the sport to 2021 or to 2020s. That is very simple. We need to move on. If not, we have a problem.
We need to be told a little bit to what time they need to bring the length of the competition down to, which will determine the number of teams, the number of starters, then you can work out with it, and you can work out a second round. But I think to start with, we need to be given the framework of how long would you like this competition to go on for?
I agree with you. Need to have a clear definition first, what we would like. And it's always, Leopoldo many years ago, first day that I arrived in Calgary, one day asked me one question, where the sports need to be. And it was like this, I don't know. This is the first answer, the first question that we need to start to think on, because the sport is going to the disaster, and this was many years ago. And we started the same point. So one need to think all together. We need to think what the sport we would like to have, no, and where the sport need to go, no. This is, and in the case of the Nation Cup is the same.
Yeah.
César, Leo.
In another subject, you are a person to try to develop the sport in Great Britain a lot, and with the young people, and you doing a lot, and you have a really success. But you have people from your program who are now in the top. Great Britain renew a lot of people. But before, years ago, was the same people in the team, and now you see new faces, and they coming better and better. And what you recommended to develop the new people in the sport to be a little bit more, have more horsemanship, but they are good riders. I totally agree. We have a very, very good riders. But the part that I don't know how to develop is to have the horsemanship, the handle the horses, and handle the sport in general. What can be a good recommendation for the sport now from yourself?
What is a recommendation internationally for the sport? Do you mean, Leopoldo? It wasn't very clear.
And national, and for you are very involved in the national part to developing young people. What you recommend for the other countries today develop? But now is only few countries are developed. We have thousands or hundreds of countries that need to develop the sport, and we need to help them to develop the sport. What you can tell to them they can do to develop new riders and develop the sport?
I think when we saw a change in Great Britain was when we developed a coaching program, and there was a real awareness of bringing coaches in for education. And we had Lars Cederholm from Sweden that was a leader on the course that taught a few coaches, and we had the coaches that were graded, and we had certificates for the coaches. And this coaching program took three years to work through, and this was with experienced riders that were on this program. And then as they developed into coaches, they took people under their wings and developed coaches. So I think a very good coaching system in any country that can really spread and develop riders in a classical way and help nurture their talents. So this is what British show jumping has done in England with it is part and parcel to our success, I think, with young riders developing and going internationally. And now we are seeing the fruition of this with having younger riders in Nations Cup teams. And actually in Rotterdam, we had two new riders on the podium, which was nice. So it's taken a while to get this working, but any nation should really look at getting a structure with their coaches, getting a coaching structure, and then spreading it out across the country, and having a system for the riders to follow to help their natural talents, but also to help the riders that probably aren't from horsey backgrounds, that need more help, more coaching.
And how you in England, how evaluate, you have a system in England, in this coaching system that everybody, but in worldwide today, in Latin America, in our countries, and even here in the States, everybody can be a coach and don't have any certification, anything. And I think this is something that needs to change. And I try very hard, but how doing in England now, you need to have a certification to be a coach, or every rider, successful rider, can be a coach, or every rider can be a coach?
Well, most riders eventually become coaches at various different levels. They do become coaches, that's for sure. And lots of young riders, juniors, their parents are their coaches. And they're probably not from an equestrian background. So, yes, they can be coaches to a level. But then when we put the coaching policy in place, it also touches with insurance as well, because insurance is very expensive for coaches unless you have a certificate and you have qualifications. So that encouraged people as well to become part of the coaching program. But you're quite right, Leopoldo. Anybody can coach. But I think when you see a classical way of coaching and you see riders improving, then it turns a lot of heads of riders and they want to be part of a system. And, they want to ride like Ben Maher, like Scott Brash, like Marcus Enning, like their idols. However, it takes time. It takes time to get people together thinking this way. In England we say there are lots of ways to Rome, lots of roads to Rome. They all get there, but it just depends which way you want to take.
In Spanish, you can say the
so
same.
Many different.
All the ways go to Rome.
Yes, yes. But it just depends which way you want to go. We see a lot of different riding styles in the sport, but actually at the very top, we see beautiful styles nowadays, don't we? Probably not like we used to see years ago. There is no room for error and unbalanced. So I think people are learning at an earlier stage the skills.
And
wait, hold on. No, wait, but hold on. No, I just want to have, are you talking, is your question about the same subject or you are completely going to a different topic?
No, the same subject.
Okay, then go ahead.
But in the coaching system, I know maybe in England you have it, but in many countries they try to develop, but they only develop how to coach, but they need to have some part of pedagogical and to learning how to teach. But this is the more important part of coaching. When you need to teach somebody, maybe you don't know how to transmit. And today we don't have the really preparation for the coaches on this. What do you think about it?
Well, this is where our coaching system comes in. It doesn't actually tell us our skills. It doesn't tell us about riding. It tells us how to coach, how to put it over to that rider, how to explain the best possible ways. And, there are various different styles in coaching. Somebody will coach very much telling what to do all the time and no feedback at all from the rider. Because, as we all know, riding is all about timing and feeling. There's so much feeling in riding and the timing. And unless the rider that you're coaching can actually capture that moment when it's good or what made it good, then how can they possibly go away from the coach and practice it if they can't capture the moment, that feeling? So, we would be encouraged to ask a lot of open questions to the rider. How did that corner feel coming round to the jump? They will come to the jump, they will have a fantastic jump, and everything is about the jump. But how did the approach feel? How did the canter feel coming to the corner? So one has to capture that moment, how does that feel? Why does it feel better? You need to draw out the learning skills. There are so many different ways of people learning, whether it be watching on a video or actually demonstrating, getting on and somebody riding there. Coaching with two people in a lesson or actually getting on a horse and showing somebody is another great way. It's just finding out the rider's best way of learning. And that's what it's about, because it's about their homework when they go home. It isn't just what they do for the coaching session. When they go away, it's what they practice by themselves and if they've improved when they come back to you.
I want to mention something regarding the coaching system is that the FEI also have a coaching system where you have certification. And I heard very good comments in Latin America. I don't know how developed it's in Europe. I don't see it here in the United States, but in Latin America, you have different levels. And they coach you and they train you just to have a system as well. I mean, how you are going to progress with the rider, how you're going to make a plan with a specific rider. And they also have... So, I mean, I don't know if in Europe or in England, are you also using the FEI coaching system or you just rely on your own?
We actually rely on our own, but it does encompass also planning, making plans for riders going forward. And it's the whole package actually around a rider, what they need. And different level coaches. Because actually, at the start of a rider's career, that is when they need the very best coach.
Exactly.
Because at the top of their career, it's actually a little bit just dotting the I's and crossing the T's. it's probably 2 words said. If I'm at an international competition, it's 2 words said to a good rider, you know, or we share something. But the younger person learning to ride, they are the ones that want the best coach.
Exactly. But I think that I think there is a concept that in many parts of the world and in our sport, in general, there is a mistake, which is that the coach is the person or the people that is in the training arena, telling you how to do things, and this is totally wrong. No, the coach is from the stables, the planification, everything needs to be in the mind of the riders. It's not only how you will jump this horse. This is just one part, the stupid part of that. No, how the horses eat, the food, everything that is around this sport, and the people lost this part. No, I remember a conversation between us three, and where we make a difference between the pilots or the horseman people, no, and horse people is other thing, and people. The coach of the riders need to start in horse way, you know, which is much more important.
Very much so. Very much so. Yes. The coaching at the show is very little. It's very little. All the work should be done prior to the show. There should be very little needed to be said at the show. The walking of the course, okay. But then in the collecting ring and everything else, it should be 2-3 words, really. Very little. All the work should be done at home. And the horsemanship is really an important part of it, that a lot of youth today, we don't see that interest. We have some very good young riders that go to some really super shows. They have a really nice horse box to go in. They have some super horses to ride. They have their grooms. They're competitive. But I often question myself, are they really horsemen and women? You know, do they actually, yes, they like their horses, but do they know the husbandry around their horses? In the stables, do they look at them? Would they know if the horse wasn't feeling 100% one day, or it wasn't standing correctly one day? Or would, you know, I'm sure it would take the grooms to tell them, or the managers to tell them. And, you know, turning back the time, the only reason I'm with horses and doing what I do now is because I'm an animal-loving person. I love animals. I love horses. It was my dream to work with horses and to be with horses. And I wanted to be with them all day. And so you learn a lot about the horse's character, the characteristics. And I'm sure the top horsewomen, Beezy Madden, Laura Kraut, will tell you they will know their horses inside out, those girls. And I'm sure the men, John Whittaker, he knows his horses. Philip Gerdat, he knows his horses. Stevie. These people are, to me, complete horsemen and women. And at the end of the day, it shows.
Mm-hmm.
This is absolutely clear, no? This is the when you start on this sport, need to look of these people, no? To look how they manage, and they are super classes on the arena, but they more of that, they are super classes at home, and they did all the homework before to arrive, and majority of these people win the classes when they arrive to the show. This is my personal view. This group of people are able to win 75% in statistics 75% just because they arrive in other conditions totally different. No?
Yes, that's right. That's right. And today, the competition side of in the rider, the athlete, the competition is so top today, isn't it? You have to encompass everything. And not only the horse's health and fitness, but the riders too. The riders need to be so focused on their fitness. There is very little between, some of your fantastic courses that you've all built. Those jump-offs are just breathtaking, aren't they? Hundreds of seconds in there, which is just getting those marginal gains on all of this horsemanship, the whole thing, to be able to pull it off on the day. It's wonderful.
Now that you're talking about jump off, and you made a comment before about the dimensions, the length, and the number of obstacles in the Nations Cup. This week I was present in a discussion with two people from the sport that they were talking about time allowed and the time faults. And one of the person was saying that he does not agree of having the same time fault for every 4 seconds. You should be penalized if you're closer to the 4 seconds, or you are benefited if you are close to the 1 second. I mean, why the same time fault? What is your opinion on time faults as it is now?
Well, I learned a lot about time faults when I first went to Calgary with Leopoldo many years ago.
This is the other question that we didn't explain to you before to start. When we don't know what we need to do, we attack Leopoldo.
That's a different question. But I think we should cut it down to 1 for 1. Why go for the whole 4 seconds? That seems to have been there for so many years now, to give one time fault.
Here in the States, in the national rules, is 1 for 1.
I think that it needs to be 1 for 1. I absolutely agree that it needs to be 1 for 1.
Yeah. I think it should be international.
Yes. I discussed this hundreds of times. And when I was in the FAI, I discussed this too. And I never like one foul for 4 seconds. I think this is totally absurd. But every time I start discussing this, they say, hey, no, you are crazy with the time. You. And very difficult for me to do
this. Could be true also. This could be true also, Leopoldo. This could be true also. You could be crazy with the time, but this is not the case. The case is mathematical issue. In mathematics, it's the same for everyone. It's 1 for 1 for everyone, because you are crazy for the whole people, not for one private in Spain.
Oh dear.
But it's like this. I tell you the truth now. Now Santiago is harder on the time allowed than myself. And all the others, I am famous, but I was the first one to start doing, and very, very strict with the time. But the sport today is based on time. Today change so much that is based on time.
Absolutely. So
if you give it 1 second or 2 seconds more in a course today, make the difference of have 3 clings or 20 clings with 1 or 2 seconds.
Sure.
This is the reality today.
Yeah, and personally, we don't like it when the time is changed, because even after the 4th competitor, you see later in the class, riders come and make the original time very easily.
Yes.
So
I never like to change. Sometimes, normally when I change, I am different. I don't go up, I go down.
Oh, lovely. Oh, God. No, I think that's fair comment.
You always stay as it is.
But I think 1-for-1 would be great, and also with the Nations Cups, there should never be any equals. If we take the times of the best three in the first round, why don't we do that in the second round to have a classification? Because we shouldn't have three teams equal second or equal third. We should do it on the times.
Yes, it's like this. It's like this. And now, what do you think in the Prix Nations? What is your feeling? You like Prix Nations that winning with full clean rounds, or you like Prix Nations to winning with faults? The total results of the teams. For me, I like with faults. I don't like in the Prix Nation having clean teams and have a jump off. If I have a jump off with 4 or 8, or I have a jump off, but jump off with clean teams make a little bit boring the Prix Nation. What do you think about it?
It wouldn't bother me too much, really, whether it's clear. If there are two teams that have clear rounds, then that would be fine for me, for the two teams to jump off, whether they're all clear or whether they're on 4 faults. I don't think the course should be so difficult that there are very few clears, because we have to be encouraging, and we want to encourage the youth into our sport. But it's a really fine line. We don't to see lots of course, and I really appreciate what a difficult task you guys have. It's difficult for you. So really, if it comes to a jump off, it comes to a jump off. But last year in Deerridge, we were jumping off for the Nations Cup. The Brits and the Americans were jumping off, and both teams were on 4 faults.
Yeah, I like it like this. I like it with faults. That is only that what you like it. That's it.
Yeah.
And
the only advantage that this sport have is that at the start of the class is equal for everyone, which is you cannot move anything, and I day by day I'm more in agreement. Do not change the time allowed for any reason. Neither up, neither down. No, in up I have some doubts due to that they do not create an issue, but the reality is day by day we are seeing that it's more the usage is they are using more and more times as to adapt the class at the preference of the OCs or the preference of I don't know what. And this is not the intention. The intention is that the sport need to be equal, need to be similar for everyone, and you need to be fair to everyone. That means that if you make a mistake, you make a mistake, nothing happened. The class we will start, and you never know, because you arrive in the States or in Canada, and they prefer to do not have more than 4 clear rounds, but however you talk in Europe need to be 10 clear rounds in the jump off on the Grand Prix, and the line is a fine line between 7 to 17, which is totally different, and this could be to second, no more than this, no?
Yes.
But this is the life that we have, and we need to manage the situation under the technicalities that we are using on the course, and that's it. And one day you are better than others. Obviously, you are not perfect, and you need to accept the situation. And many times this is used as ego solution, no? More than an sport solution, no?
Yeah.
But
it's very
for me,
difficult for you.
Sorry, I have to be the bad guy, but we're reaching the top of the hour.
No.
So we have only one comment left.
The bad guy. That you are always. That's it. It is not under discussion.
Well, then once again, I'm the bad guy. So I just wanna mention something. In 2019, in the Nations Cup that we were talking about, you are the only female chef d'équipe. What would be a message for all those horsewomen out there? I mean, a message from one of the top influential, best chefs d'équipe out there.
Go for it. Come and enjoy it. It's just so wonderful to have an extended career with the horses and mixing with wonderful people and going through everybody's experiences. I think the girls out there should look towards having a chef d'équipe experience.
Excellent. Bueno, Santiago, Carolo, Carolo is not here.
I like to make one question about that because this sport, there are some male chauvinism or sexism, let's say, for example, in the course design side, and I like to give you the opportunity to help the people, the women that are trying to improve on for example, in the course designing world, Leopoldo and we try to help people and try to help women every time that we work equally with men and women, but the reality is when they need to act outside the sexism on this sport from the office, and many people are totally, in my opinion, not adapted to the time that we are living at the present time, and I like to tell them something from your side.
You were just breaking up a little bit at the end, but I think it's sometimes it's very easy for the men to carry on in the sport, isn't it? I don't know whether this is what you were saying, but for women to carry on the career, everybody has been very welcoming for me in the sport with the chef d'équipes and even with riding in the teams with the boys. So out there to encourage the female course builders or future chef d'équipes. Live that dream and go and do it, because I think it's really encouraging, and the door is wide open for different ideas in sport. I think we're all very open to share ideas, and the female should come forward to help to take it forward.
Yeah, I agree. Leopoldo?
To close, I want to thank you to come to the program, and I think you give it fantastic ideas and a very nice contribution for the development of the sport. Thank you for being here, and we are very happy to have you, and I hope we have you again in another opportunity.
It's very kind, Leopoldo. It's nice to see you and nice to talk to you again. Lovely to have a little bit of banter with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bueno, thank you very much, Dee. Thank you, Leopoldo. Santiago, Carolo had some technical issues today, so sorry, Carolo, but that's technology. I don't know what else to say about it. But Dee, thank you very much for all your time. It was amazing, and for sure, like Leopoldo said, we're having round 2 with Dee Lampard. So thank you very much. Thank you, Carolo López Quesada. Thank you, La Tertulia Ecuestre, and hope to see you soon. Ciao. Bye-bye.
Thank you.